We mentioned earlier that Donald Trump was prepared to open up the floodgates, as it were, and send everybody back to work because he's got 6 hotels and properties that are losing money. Now, the way that the right is starting to frame this is that, and like we've said, 40% of the people who and wind up in the hospital are under the age of 50. So it definitely hits older people more, and the fatality rate is definitely higher for people over the age of 50, 60, 70, 80. It creeps up. So the idea is, from the party that ran for 2 years on the notion that there were death panels in the Affordable Care Act, panels that would decide it's not worth at your advanced age to get this treatment. It's not worth doing. And incidentally, this was incorrect, but that was what they were framing it as, are okay with the idea that we are going to, in fact, it's not even okay. They think it is an attribute to be willing to say to people over the age of 70, like, thanks for joining us. It's time for you to go. Here is Governor Dan Patrick on Tucker Carlson's program explaining that. I should say Lieutenant Governor Dan Patrick of Texas. Here he is.
Living in fear of is what's happening to this country. And, you know, Tucker, no one reached out to me and said, as a senior citizen, are you willing to take a chance on your survival in exchange for keeping the America that all America loves for your children and grandchildren? And if that's the exchange, I'm all in. And that doesn't make me noble or brave or anything like that. I just think there are lots of grandparents out there in this country, like me, I have 6 grandchildren, that what we all care about and what we love more than anything are those children. And I want to, you know, live smart and see through this, but I don't want the whole country to be sacrificed. And that's what I see. I've talked to hundreds of people, Tucker, and just in the last week, and making calls all the time. And everyone says pretty much the same thing, that we can't lose our whole country. We're having an economic collapse. I'm also a small businessman. I understand it. And I talk with business people all the time, Tucker. And my heart is lifted tonight by what I heard the president say, because we can do more than, you know, one thing at a time. We can do 2 things. So, you know, my message is that let's get back to work. Let's get back to living. Let's be smart about it. And those of us who are 70 plus, we'll take care of ourselves, but don't sacrifice the country. Don't do that. Don't ruin this great American dream. So
you're basically saying that this disease could take your life, but that's not the scariest thing to you. There's something that would be worse than dying.
Yeah. And look.
That's very noble. It's also really, really stupid. I mean, if we had the ability to say, you know what, we're going to kill all the people over the age of 70 so that the rest of the world can live, or the rest of the country can thrive. I think that would be a horror show, and I think that would be, I mean, it sounds dystopian, and it would be obscene. But if everybody decided that's what we're going to do, and we had sign off from all the older folks in the country, I suppose if everybody jumped into that boat together, I would just sit and be freaked out. But that's not the way it works. That's not, you're not just killing off the people over the age of 70. We can go about our businesses. You're going to destroy the capacity for hospitals to treat anyone. Unless you're basically saying, like, you show up at the hospital, if you've got it, just head to the waiting room. We have a wall of glass. You can say goodbye to your kids and your family, and that's it. Well, you just wait. I mean, this is absurd. This is absurd that their public policy strategy to deal with this is to start to massage people in such a way that, like, meh, it would be very helpful if maybe, over the age of 70, you guys basically just said, time for make some room. Now, I guess the big question is, like, is that what happens? I guess Pence becomes president. Matt, Brendan, are you guys there? Can you hear me?
Yes, we can hear you.
Yeah. Well, so what happens at that point? If we get rid of all the 70-year-olds, does Trump start?
Does he start? Is he the first one to go?
Yeah, exactly.
I think that's a good idea.
I mean, that would be the most appropriate thing to me. It seems like he should step up and just be like, I'm willing to do it, so everybody else should follow me. If he does that, then I might contemplate signing up to think that's a good idea.
Like a Midsummer type of thing. Have you seen the movie Midsummer, Sam?
I have not.
Oh, you should check that out.
I'm familiar with Midsummer's Night's Dream, but is that a different thing?
It's a little bit different. There's some lessons in this regard here in that.